Hello, Roftwood. It's me, Zombie GG with the Roftwood Coordination Center, proudly presenting you with another post-apocalyptic production I like to call an RCC Fireside Chat. This is the fifth and final part of my series with my friend Bosch, a player who holds a rich understanding of the game and has personally been involved with many of Malton's most legendary characters and groups. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Yeah, and it's like different people had different skills. The players I got involved were Vapor, who I played alongside in the Flowers of Decay. He was a great player, really understood the mechanics of the game, and Icon, who I'd played alongside him a lot of times. He'd been involved in the 404 Blackmore Siege. He was leader of Soldiers of Crossman. He played in Mob. He had PKs. He was in the
Wasn't he like a wiki titan too?
Yeah, and he had wiki skills. He's an incredible wiki
wizard,
page builder.
Man. I want to get in touch with this guy. I was talking about it with Frank Byrne and he laughed at me. He thinks he's done the game forever.
Knowing him as I do, I think he is probably done forever. You can never say never. Like, if you ever see him around, ask him. But yeah, he was, again, another very experienced player. Really good at
together for this Big Bash 4?
Yeah, we started planning it on New Year's Day 2013, and Big Bash 4 launched on June 1st 2013. So we spent 6 months planning. Like I say, we knew it would take recruiting survivors for it to really be a success. It was also going to have to be presented in a very almost professional style manner. So we had like a really beautiful wiki page, but we also made like propaganda posters, advert posters. I made a video based around that, cut up bits from the original Dawn of the Dead, like shots of survivors standing around in empty malls with like text on the screen saying like, are you sick of playing in empty malls? Are you sick of the game being so boring? Why don't you come and join Big Bash 4? And then shots of like zombies ripping apart the bandits from the film, like who are titled as player killers. And it was like, you, a survivor, can play as a zombie and you can eat PKers. Like, it was, how can we get these people who would never usually think of playing zombie to play zombie just for a couple of months, just with Big Bash 4? And I just figured, like, one, emphasize how boring the game had become, and it had become really boring. Two, that they would get an opportunity to like eat their typical arch nemesis player killers, stuff like that. And in the end, it ended up becoming a massive success. It's probably the thing that I'm the most proud of. In a game with half as many players, it had more tagged up people than Big Bash 3. I think Big Bash 3, there'd been 16,000 players at the time, and it got maybe 110 tagged up zombies, but there was a big feral cloud that followed it around as well, and not everyone tagged up. Big Bash 4 was in a game half the size, 8,000 players, it got up to like 150, plus the feral cloud. So just in recruitment alone, it was more successful. It couldn't have as big of an impact on the game just because the game was so much smaller. Survivors, the effectiveness of barricades just is much more stark. But at Big Bash 4's peak, it was rolling around and could destroy a suburb in a day. I think the only real criticism people levelled at Big Bash 4 is it moved too quickly, but it kind of had to. If you can destroy a suburb in a day, you can't spend 3 days there. You know what I mean? People get bored and wander off. You have to keep moving. You have to keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
It was often a struggle just to stay like in a suburb for 2 days because people would move on ahead and start destroying the next suburb. But I think most people that took part in it, who have talked about it, would say that it was a lot of fun. We did movie nights every Friday night. We would get together in the IRC channel, and we had this YouTube style thing that allowed everyone to watch in sync. So we watched
cool
zombie films. Like I say, we had like art posters, but we also, one of the I forgot to mention earlier, which is strange, but one of the main things we did right was, rather than just have it on a wiki page and expect people to go to that wiki page to see where we were, it was, peak social media. So we had a Twitter account that would tell people where we were going, but also what buildings were opened for efficiency. So buildings weren't getting opened and then, the people inside left untouched. We would report it on Twitter and also Facebook, and that's where most people followed what was going on day to day with the Big Bash 4.
That was the meta for like Big Bash 4.
Yeah, it was like you could come onto the IRC channel or our forum or whatever and find out that way, or the wiki. You could also just follow on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
That had the most impact, really. It allowed us to really mow down suburbs really quickly, because as soon as the information was, like, I had it, I just pushed it out to all of these different places.
People just jump on it.
Yeah, it went really well in that respect.
150 players at peak. Destroy suburbs in a day or two, man. It's pretty crazy.
It was only meant to go for 3 months, but people were having such a good time and were really, like, despondent if I ever mentioned that I was getting burnt out and wanted to stop.
Did you, like, turn these guys into a PK group too?
No. It went for 4.5 months in the end. As groups do, it lost players over time. I think we were down to like 75 by mid-October when it ended. But we were still 75 people's enough to destroy a suburb in a day or two.
Yeah, man. It's a lot, especially these days. You'd crush anything.
Yeah, we pretty much did. We one of the things I did is I had a back channel to a couple of pro survivor people like Spider from CDF and some other people, and I tried to encourage them to go to particular buildings and like stage a defense so we would actually have a challenge. But you can't stop 20 well coordinated zombies. Like, we had 100, more than 100 zombies for pretty much most of Big Bash 4. We had maybe 20-30 people in the IRC channel all the time. I typically led the daily strike. I remember one time we went up near Pitney Bank and I was telling Spider, like, get all your people, your anti-Big Bash 4 alliance in this one NT and we'll have a siege, like telling him how to siege. And then we turned up and we just trounced it in like a couple of hours.
Spider's an old name.
Yeah, Spider's for a trenchy, he's one of my favourite trenches. He's a cool dude. A lot of trenches are really just weirdos with like real problems with zombie players, but Spider kind of gets it. He's not the most effective leader, but he's someone I would recruit if he was willing to play.
Yeah,
the other side
together. So Big Bash 4 eventually comes to an end in like what, 2013 or something?
Yeah, October 2013, and by the time it had ended I was really, really burnt out. I'd spent 4 years playing the game, 3 years pretty much leading groups. There were times where I'd been leading like 3 groups at a time.
Yeah, dude, you joined in 2009, now we're in 2013, you finished the Big Bash 4.
I mean, we've mostly talked about the groups where I'd either formed or became leader, but I also played in a lot of groups.
Like the Fortress and...
Yeah, I'd been a member of the Fortress, I'd been a member of Flowers of Decay, and I'd led strikes for them. And they wanted me at one point, they asked me, do you want to come and join our leadership team? But I was just too burnt out. After Big Bash 4, I took a long break from the game and I came back sporadically. And whenever I came back, I was still... Irishman had kind of disappeared at some point and the Horde was kind of in a bit of anarchy. Funk McBogey had kept the constables going and there was still like a semblance of the old Horde there, but this is really where I started to make mistakes, because I would take a long break from the game and then I'd come back and almost expect people to treat me still as like being the main leader person. Wound some people up over the years with my attitude towards that. Thankfully I've learned from that and it's not a mistake I make anymore, especially as I came back in 2000. I'd played occasionally between 2013 and 2017, but I came back in 2017 like determined to resurrect the RRF and to finally just make myself proper, because Irishman had long since disappeared, and to put into practice a lot of the plans that I'd had. But my attitude was a bit too still control freak backseat driver. Funk McBogey, the leader of the Constables pretty much at this time were the RRF. There were RRF kind of almost ferals, if you know what I mean. People just playing in Ridley Bank, just
Had the group tags on.
And were in Ridley Bank doing RRF stuff, but weren't coordinating, weren't an organised group. Constables were pretty much it. And I come back to the game, Baja.com's dead. The forums had gone, but our primary real-time way of communicating was also on the blink. I tried getting the IRC network fixed, but it just couldn't be done. And this is around the time where I'd started to see groups move into Discord.
Like 2017?
Yeah, 2017, I think.
That's when I came back too. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think like your RCC, your Discord server, was a good example of how moving to Discord kind of brought players back into the game. It's just such a good tool because it's a mix of real-time IRC style communication, but also the kind of permanence of a forum. It also had the NexusNet IRC network that a lot of Urban Dead groups used back in the day when we used IRC. It worked particularly well because you had a lot of disparate style groups on there, but because you're all on the same network, you would talk to people from channels that you weren't part of, and they would invite you to their channel, and it became kind of incestuous, and there's lots of crossover between players. But Discord's a bit like that now because you've got so many people on the one communication tool. Like, I'm a zombie player, I typically play with the RRF, but if I want to, I can come and join the RCC Discord and come and shoot the shit with you guys for a bit. And then that ended up with me joining, the Roftwood Elite. The Scourge is there. There's, all sorts of groups in the one space. So
yeah, I like our arch enemies, man. It's so fun just being able to not really talk shit meanly real time, but I don't know. If they kill me or something, it's like, alright man, you killed me, and I can't wait to post the screenshot when I kill them. I like having the comic book kind of rivalry, superhero, supervillain.
It's just a really good tool, and I'd seen groups using it well. I'd kind of off and on been a bit of an advisor to the Scourge. I saw that there was this new zombie horde, and they seemed to be going about things the right way. So I joined them. There were areas where they could be improved. Their strikes when I first joined, I'd led literally probably 1,000 strikes at this point. If you think of the fact that I'd led strikes every day for a couple of years, sometimes leading multiple strikes. I was very experienced as a strike leader, and I saw that the Scourge strikes could be improved, and they were very receptive. This is when they were on IRC, and so I kept in touch, maintained contact with them. When the IRC network had gone down, they'd moved to Discord. I joined them on Discord for a while and saw this is probably the future of coordination. Forums are slow and out of date. IRC, there's an entry level to even using it. You have to be a bit techie to even connect. There are tools, easy ways of using IRC, but it's just not very user friendly. It works if you're really hardcore and you want that clean, quick, real-time communication, but Discord was the future basically. Between your Discord and the Scourge one and a couple of the other ones that popped up. So I moved the RRF over to Discord, but then my control freakery got a bit silly, where I would scout for the Constables as a breather, and I would tell them, you've got survivors in this building, this building, this building, and then if they didn't hit those buildings, I would get
upset. Because you put in all this work, you showed them, it's like you cooked them food and you put it on the plate for them and they just don't eat it, and you just throw it in the trash.
It's not that I would get upset that they wouldn't, that they were, it's more just I've always been very focused to the detriment of my fun. I mean, there's a couple of players that I'm sure you would speak to. There's one of my good friends in Urban Dead said that being in 404 ruined playing as a survivor for him, because 404, for all of the socialness in the IRC channel, the actual in-game stuff we did was very dry. It was we had spreadsheets, scouting spreadsheets of whole suburbs, so we could keep tabs on the status of every building. And me and Fifi used to be quite militant, like, make sure you update the bloody spreadsheets. Amazing at sucking the fun out of a game, that is. Like, unless you're really focused on the end product, playing that way can suck for some people. And so I was quite like that when I'd come back to the game in like late 2017 with like the constables. If they didn't hit the targets that I'd scouted for them, it wasn't that I was upset that they were ignoring the targets. I've always just done what I feel is the best thing for the group anyway. I wouldn't get offended about that. I'd get offended that they weren't playing as efficiently as they could be. Like, Ridley Bank is a hard suburb to keep ruined. It's got the most buildings out of any suburb, which, 67 buildings.
Has a ton of hospitals. Yeah, it's like prime real estate. That's like, there's
like
way easier suburbs for zombies to keep haunted than Ridley Bank for sure.
The RRF in late 2017 had like 40, 50 people. That's more buildings than there are zombies. And how do you stop people cage strafing? You've got to kill the cage strafers. Like, yeah, you've got to keep the buildings ruined, but if you don't have enough zombies to camp each building, you have to kill the cause of the barricades in the first place. So I came back. I kind of decided, I'm Popper with all these big plans, and then I realised, the game's not as fun as I used to find it, and I'm still a control freak. It was getting a bit antagonistic between me and the constables, and the constables are some of my best friends in the game. I've played with them for years. They fed my zombie when he was brand new. I've got a lot in common with the guys. They were really good friends, but we were starting to fall out because I was still a bit control freakery. So we had an argument one night, and I just left because it was time for me to take another one of my breaks again. And then when I came back, like 6 months later, Moloch was back. Not only was Moloch back, he resurrected the Gore Corps basically from oblivion. He recruited loads of really cool people, new people, but also got loads of the old, like, cool veterans back again. And he like, Moloch being Moloch, he understands the mechanics of the game. He understands how to make it fun. He understands how to make a narrative. So I came back to the game, and I didn't have any ambition of leading anymore. Although I did come back and try and make a brand new strike team, which failed miserably. But I just came back and gradually got comfortable with just being a member of a group again. And it was so nice. Like, not leading. It's so good for someone like me who's led lots of groups, who's been in lots of groups, who's dedicated.
You spent all that time, like, in the siege fighting, like, behind those sieges, just like refreshing those IPs and fixing the generators. Oh my gosh, so much time being so hardcore, leading the teams and stuff like that for as long as you have. So many different kinds of styles and
like doing all
tactical theories and setups.
Like, the bitch work on wikis and dealing with new people, recruiting people, telling people where to go. It's just, it becomes a lot of work, especially if, as I did for whatever reason in my heyday, led lots of teams at the same time. So it was so good to come back to an RRF that was like fucking pumping again, that was reinvigorated, that was like firing on all cylinders, and I didn't have to lead. I came back, and I got myself added back to the War Council, and I definitely helped Moloch in little ways, but it was...
I remember seeing you help Moloch in many ways. We all have you as red in our contacts in the RCC. If we see your name, you're our shoot on sight.
I'd made Funk McBogey Popper when I'd left, and he was Popper, and Moloch was effective day-to-day leader of the group, so I could just come back. If people wanted my opinion on something, or if I could help out, I could help out, but there was no pressure on me to do it. That's pretty much where we are today. I've come back every now and again and done a trademark, secretive, temporary group where I just recruit a bunch of people that I know are very reliable and are going to be interested, but I always get some new faces involved. Like, I ask my friends, do you know players that are enthusiastic and would really dig, being invited along to something secretive? And I've taken down Ford Creedy with a fairly devastating and as far as I can tell, new strategy that I like to call gut rot, which I'm not going to explain,
Okay.
but works really well. I'll explain it to you personally once.
All right.
Once
Well,
the
we got
podcast is over.
We got 2.5 hours recorded, so I think we covered pretty much how you started in 2009 and all the like dedication and energy you put into your run. You know, as like leading all kinds of different things for the 3 years, 2013, take a break after the Big Bash 4, come back, and then the RRF's kind of in like a pretty fun place that like picks you back up. And now you're just like still running Two-Headed Sex Beast. I still get to play with you down in Wittenside and with my Roftwood Elite little zombie squad. It's fun
Yeah, pretty
haunting
much.
those guys, chasing that California Yeti guy.
I pretty much exclusively play Zombie or PK these days. I haven't played Survivor since 2011, but I come back and I have fun. It's still fun to get with a Gore Core and to smash a target, or to put a little temporary group of my own together and just spend 2 weeks fucking someone over and then melt into Malton again.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun playing, you know, against you and Roftwood with the Two-Head Six Beast RF guy. It's fun playing with you, with your Renegade Romero fellow. It's so cool you added such a interesting twist on that character's history, him being a part of Escape. What a crazy situation, that Captain Video guy. And then you just like turncoat. What a wild string of stories you've managed to craft for yourself. Bosch, as someone who really appreciates this game and stuff, I really appreciate you and all you've done for it and all the fun you've helped, you know, create for all kinds of other people. It's been awesome having you on the show, man. Thanks for everything you've shared.
That's what it's all about, making fun for other people. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Alright, and we are... How do I stop it? Welcome back, Roftwood. This concludes the fifth and final part of my series with my friend Bosch, a player who holds a rich understanding of the game and has personally been involved with many of Malton's most legendary characters and groups. This RCC Fireside Chat is a post-apocalyptic production proudly presented to you by the Roftwood Coordination Center. I'm Zombie GG, and Roftwood, the pleasure's been mine.